Hello, everybody, and welcome to another discussion. Today's on Resident Evil Remakes, the idea of remakes, and what makes a good remake, because the franchise is at a point right now where the amount of new games that we get is on the same level as the amount of remakes that we get. So it all goes back to this first game, Resident Evil Remake, and I want to talk about how, first of all, this is an effective remake through 5 points. So my 5 points are respect for the source material, modernization of gameplay, atmosphere and aesthetics, better puzzles, and character and plot expansion. I think these 5 things are absolutely key to making a good remake, and especially a good remake of Resident Evil, because I'm mentioning puzzles. So first, we'll start with respect to the source material. I mean, the game is basically one-to-one of the 1996. A few rooms in the mansion have been moved around, whatever. There's new ideas in characters such as Lisa Trevor and the Crimson Heads that aren't in the original. But overall, it takes the original and just bolts more things onto it in a way that doesn't hurt the canon. And that's kind of my main gripe with a lot of remakes, is respect for the canon, because this is a game that its story is just so deep throughout the 30 games, and that it all mostly connects well, that in keeping that connection is a very important thing, especially for a remake which is going to be presented to a wider audience. So yeah, respect for that source material. The modernization of gameplay. Resident Evil Remake introduced defense items, so I actually think in the gameplay you're going to see me use one of these defense items. I don't know, but like daggers, stun guns, grenades, that when you're grabbed by a zombie you can put a grenade in their mouth or stab them in the head. It's effective, and it adds another layer of resource management that just makes the gameplay better. It's just and as well with the remake, they released the simple control scheme, which is the one I'm using in this recording, which is just an alternate way of the tank controls that is more accessible for modern audiences. So again, really positive. Then we have atmosphere and aesthetics. Now, this one little iffy on. I think the remake does kind of do its own thing with the atmosphere and aesthetics. It changes it a lot, but this one doesn't really bother me as much, because it's just such a strong setting in the game, like the Spencer Mansion, so I don't mind that. Better puzzle and exploration. I mean, what is there to say? You go outside a lot more in the remake. I probably need to go outside more in real life, but in the remake you go outside into the courtyard, and there you go, there's the defense item. Out to Lisa Trevor's cabin. Better exploration. Yeah. And then the character and plot expansion. So in terms of characters, I'm not sure that much is added. Like, is there anything that we know about Jill from the remake that we didn't from the original? I'm not sure. I guess there's plot expansion with the Viac strain of the Crimson Head, of course. Lisa Trevor, the architect of the mansion, George Trevor, her daughter being kidnapped and infected with the progenitor virus. It's all positive changes. And now here's where we get to the kind of controversial bit of the video. Maybe some people might not agree with me. I do not think that the remakes of 2, 3, or 4 are good remakes. I said it, and I said it proudly. These games are great games. They're some of the best games that you can play, like especially on modern consoles. But what we're specifically talking about is remaking a game. So we have a game and we're remaking it. They do not do that good. I hate to say it. And I'll start with Resident Evil 2, because Resident Evil 2 Remake is, I can't lie, it's a beloved game for me. As much as I love the originals, I love Resident Evil 2 Remake. But we start off with my most important gripe about a remake: respect of the source material. Holy fuck. I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake does not give a shit about the original timeline. They change a whole area, a whole section of the game. If we look at the RPD, alright, that's fine. There's another floor of that. That's great. That's basically what they did in this game. That's perfect. We go down to the sewers. Yeah, fine. Marshalling yard. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Birkin's lab. In the original game, you go down to Birkin's lab, and it's kind of this decrepit old, kind of mad scientist lab. In the remake, it's Nest. Is what it's called. It's this giant futuristic lab. Keep in mind, Resident Evil 2 takes place in 1998, and in Nest you've got flat screen TVs and these like crazy looking computers. It's just ridiculous. There's no respect for the source material there. The modernization of gameplay, that's where I have to give it to the remake, because I mean, gamers nowadays are very much used to over-shoulder perspective. I like that knives have durability, and that they also kind of work like defensive items. That's, I think, a good modernization of gameplay from the original. Oh my goodness! And I would kick myself if I didn't mention Mr. X, the T00 Tyrant, who is really effective in Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's something I have a soft spot for in horror games, is the kind of stalker enemy. And that's what I think T00 Tyrant does really well, and I think he's a great addition to the game. Not addition, but, you know, in terms of the modernization of gameplay, how they changed him. Atmosphere and aesthetics, it's okay. I don't think it does not have the same charm as the original. I feel like the RE engine can tend to feel very kind of clean, and I don't know. I honestly don't know about that. Better puzzles and exploration. Yeah, I think so. I think the exploration's improved. I don't know about the puzzles. I'm trying to think about the Resident Evil 2 Remake puzzles. There's the one in the basement when you're trying to get Ben, the reporter, out. I think the chess puzzle is better in the remake. I think it's a tie between the two. And character and plot expansion, I think is abysmal in the remake. I think they handled Legacy so poorly. Like the files that are in the game all of the time, not a lot of the time, some of the time, don't match with the original timeline. We'll get to that later, looking at you, Resident Evil 3. But in terms of character, plot expansion, not much to talk about. Now, what did I just mention? Resident Evil 3 Remake. Resident Evil 3 is my favorite game in the franchise, I have to say. The original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I think it has the best of every world of Resident Evil. It kind of does action set pieces really well. It does survival horror really well. It was also one of my first games into the franchise. It's got to be tied with Remake, I think. For original Resident Evil 1 Remake. Resident Evil 3 is really good. But Resident Evil 3 Remake, I mean, oh my god. Respect for the source material. Fuck no. You have such a brilliant character in the Nemesis. A biological weapon that in the original game is just terrifying. And in the remake, you throw a grenade and he dies. Like, are we serious? They completely miss the mark with Nemesis. And then, later on in the game, he turns into a dog and starts jumping around the clock tower. It's just ridiculous. There's no respect for the source material there. Not to mention, you don't visit the park or the clock tower in the game. Alright, I need to calm down. It's just a game. Modernization of gameplay, I mean, whatever. It's the same kind of system as Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's fine. Whatever. Atmosphere and aesthetics. I mean, to the remake it holds very true, but to the original, I don't know. I find it hard to talk about the game because I have so much distaste for it. Better puzzle and exploration? Fuck no. God, it is horrible. It is horrible. Exploration significantly worse, and then it's just a kick in the stomach when you get to the end of the game and it's Nest 2. They have two like extremely similar labs underground Raccoon City, like a few kilometers away from each other. Like, whatever. Character and plot expansion. I didn't mind what they did with Nikolai. I thought he was kind of silly in the original in a good way, and I think he's cool in the remake. I won't lie. Jill. You know what? I like what they did with Jill. Like, even if we see the events that happen in the first Resident Evil game, like as you see Jill creeping around the mansion, like she's obviously going to be pretty traumatized from what she's seeing. And I liked those sequences in Resident Evil 3 Remake where she's like, it's at the start of the game, and she's kind of having visions and freaking out, being brought back to the mansion. I liked that. Onto the last remake of today, we're going to be talking about Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is a difficult one for me to talk about because I think it's a better remake than the other two. I think has more respect for the source material, and I think it is probably one of the best entry points into the series. However, do I think it's a good remake? I don't know. It is pretty faithful to the source material, though. We'll start on that. It, things happen the way that they should. Not much is bolted on. I liked what they did with the dominant Plaga and the submissive Plaga. It explains why their leader, Sadler, why they all, worship him, why he has more power over them. Modernization of gameplay. It's pretty similar to the original, I have to say. Just instead being able to have a quicker inventory and over-the-shoulder camera angles, of course. Better puzzle and exploration. I don't know, but actually, do you know what? This has to go to the remake. I was just thinking there. Throughout the game, you can kind of find keys, like the insignia key, this one for the castle as well, that lets you go back to other areas to open treasures, and I think that's really strong. Then character and plot expansion. Now, this, I think, is really good in Remake 4. I think they do it really well. In the original, Ashley just kind of screams and is a little annoying. In the remake, she's like kind of feels like a character, and it's like, oh yeah, like, maybe one day I'll become an agent, like you, Leon, and I do see that happening. I'd love to see a game like that in the future. Luis, I think they did Luis so much better. We're not talking about the Separate Ways DLC because that's a different discussion. But in terms of the base game, Luis, he's just so much better in the remake than he is in the original, I have to say. Him and Leon, their bromance, his like, he regrets what he's done, and he's and the fact that he he worked on the Nemesis Parasite in Umbrella Europe. I think that's really cool, and that adds a lot to his character. I think Ada is a bit underutilized in the remake. I think they could have probably done a bit more there. But overall, that's kind of all of the remakes and what I think about them and what I think about remaking games in general. I think that when you are remaking a game, you are not. You shouldn't be trying to do something new. If you were doing something new, please just make a new game. There, like, when you're remaking a game, it needs to be just so the people can play it on modern consoles, because a lot of the problems with Resident Evil comes from accessibility. It's like, well, I don't have a PS2 to play Outbreak, which is still a problem, by the way. The PS2 games haven't been ported anywhere, or I'm not sure actually. They could be on Steam. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of emulating PS2. I don't really know how to do it. But in terms of the Resident Evil remakes, it comes down to the canonical issue. It's which games are canon. And we know we're not going to get a statement from Capcom, because if they say, oh, the remakes are canon, they're completely invalidating the original fans. And if they say the original's canon, I mean, all of the new remake fans are going to be upset about that. So it's hard to get a clear-cut timeline for the canon, because there's so much different. Like in Resident Evil 3, for example, does Brad get bitten by a zombie and turn into a zombie, or does he get killed by the Nemesis? It's these little things that matter to me. And you may, if you don't give a shit about the canon, it's whatever. But to me, the stories of these games and the characters in it and the narratives it's telling us is, I think, one of the strongest parts about it. Going forward, oh man, I really hope they don't remake 5. I mean, it's a game that came out literally. I don't know, you can. It was a stretch with 4, because you can. It's a game you can already play on modern consoles, but whatever. But 5, I don't know. The games that I think deserve a remake are the flawed ones. I think that Resident Evil 0, which is a game I love, by the way, it's an inherently flawed game, and it should be remade with kind of the original envision of what the game should have been, without like the rush that went through 0 and the changes that they did last minute. Just remaking it with what the original designers had in mind, like what they did with Remake. But overall, my stance on them, I'm not a big fan of remaking games, or movies for that matter. I think that in creating new art, you're adding more for people to enjoy than just rehashing the same things, the same stories that we've already seen. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to end on a low note. I'll preface again, these remakes are just fantastic games. They're fantastic games, but good remakes, I'm not sure. That's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening to the remake discussion, and goodbye.